Hey budget gardeners, Vita Loki here. Join me today as we sow some begonia seeds. So let's go. Begonias are not hardy here where I live in New Hampshire, Zone 5B, and there are a lot of different kinds of begonias out there. There are the bedding type, the fibrous wax ones, there are even the tuberous begonias. I love begonias because they thrive in both sun as well as shade, and I like to have them all over my yard. But rather than buying them year after year, I like to save money by starting my own begonias from seed. I really enjoy collecting the seeds of wax begonias because it's a fun process and it's easy to do. The seeds are tiny actually, they're almost like dust. Just know that wax begonia seeds are very slow to germinate. It can take anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks, so be patient. But during that time, you want to make sure you're keeping the seeds moistened because you don't want them to dry out. I then start hardening off the plants slowly as my average last frost date approaches. During the last few years, I've grown a ton of different kinds of wax begonia. The wax begonias have definitely put on a great show in my gardens. I especially liked a patch that was up along the driveway on the right-hand side. I also had another great patch of them in my rose garden towards the center of the bed, where they really looked pretty with their white color. And I've even enjoyed planting my wax begonias in different kinds of containers as well as pots. They're definitely a versatile plant that grows in lots of different light conditions. These plants take a long time to grow from seed to bloom, which is also known as days to maturity. It can take anywhere from about 105 to 112 days, which is equal to approximately 15 to 16 weeks from seed to bloom. And for that reason, that's why you want to start the begonia seeds indoors about 12 to 16 weeks before your average last frost date. I like to winter sow a lot of seeds. It saves space indoors, and also if you don't have grow lights, winter sowing is a great option. However, when it comes to begonias, I wouldn't recommend it. Again, it has to do with the days to maturity. They take so long to grow from a seed. It makes sense if you are going to grow them that you grow them indoors under grow lights. There are a lot of plants you can grow from seed, and some of them are easier than others. I would say begonias fall in the spectrum of more difficult to grow from seed. Is it impossible? Definitely not, and that's why I like making these videos, showing you my process of what I do to successfully grow the plant from seed. But if you do want to propagate the plant and you don't want to bother with seeds, you can do it from cuttings. I have a video that shows how to propagate begonias from cuttings. I'll put a link to it down below. You can also overwinter your begonia plants indoors as a house plant. There are a lot of different ways to save the plants or to propagate the plants. This video is going to focus only on how to grow the plants from seed. My average last frost date is May 15th. That's not based on my USDA hardiness zone. It's based on my zip code. If you don't know what your average last frost date is, you can go to the website linked below, enter in your zip code or your location, and it will tell you what your average last frost date is. Or you can just do an internet search on what is my average last frost date and put in your location. There are also maps out there that will show you based on your location what your average last frost date is. So make sure you know that date before you start any seeds indoors. Today is January 3rd. My average last frost date is May 15th. If I count backwards from May 15th to today, January 3rd, we are about 19 weeks away from my average last frost date. I'm definitely starting these begonia seeds earlier than I normally do, but the reason is I want to have a nice sized plant to put in my garden come my average last frost date. I clearly love begonias. In fact, look at all the different varieties of begonias that I'm planning to start from seed. There is a mix of wax as well as tuberous begonia seeds in here, and you can see these are all seeds that I collected myself, except for this packet here. Thank you, Christine D. from New York, for sending these begonia seeds for me. I can't wait to start these indoors. And Christine also sent me some milkweed seeds, which I will be winter sowing soon as well. If you're interested in collecting your own begonia seeds, I'll put a link to a video I made down in the description below. But look at all of those little specks. Each one of those is a begonia seed. You can also buy your own begonia seeds. I'll put links to a few websites down below where you can buy begonia seeds. Just know that oftentimes when begonia seeds are sold, they will be pelleted. And the reason is the seeds are so tiny, it's easier to sell them pelleted. But when you buy pelleted seeds, the shelf life is much shorter. So you want to be able to use up pelleted seeds pretty quickly within a year or two, because each year that goes by, pelleted seeds are less and less viable. When it comes to seed starting, I prefer to multi-sow my seeds, which means I like to sow a whole bunch of seeds in a small restaurant takeout container. And I do that for a number of reasons. One reason is it initially saves space under my grow lights. Another reason is only the seeds that are viable are going to germinate. In other words, if I sow a whole bunch of seeds in here and only some of them are viable, only those ones will germinate. Then what I can do is prick out the seeds that have germinated and pot them up. You don't have to multi-sow your seeds. If you prefer to sow them directly into 6 cell packs or into pots or containers, you can do that as well. But just know that that will take up more room under your grow lights, and also some of the seeds may not germinate, so you may have empty cells. But no matter what pot or container you use, you want to make sure that there are drainage holes in the bottom. I'll be sowing my seeds in a DIY seed starting mix. If you want, you can use any potting mix that you have handy. I like to start my seeds in seed starting mix, and then eventually when I pot up my seedlings, they move into a potting mix. For my seed starting mix, I like to use 2 parts of peat moss, but you can use cocoa coir if you like. And then I like to add 1 part of vermiculite. I have coarse vermiculite. You can use fine if you want. And then I sprinkle the top with pulverized dolomitic lime. And I use that with peat moss. You don't need to use it with cocoa coir. And the purpose of it is to reduce the acidity that you have in peat moss. When I talk about parts, it's basically whatever you're using for scooping. So in this case, I'm using a bowl. Parts are just ratios. So I could also do, for example, 4 parts or 4 bowls of my peat moss. And to that, I would add 2 parts of my vermiculite or 2 bowls of my vermiculite. And then I would sprinkle the top with my pulverized dolomitic limestone. After I've added all my ingredients, the next thing I like to do is add boiling water from a tea kettle and pour it over my seed starting mix. One reason for adding the water is simply to pre-moisten the mix. But a main reason for adding boiling water is to kill off the possibility of any fungus gnat eggs that might be found inside of the peat moss. I continue adding the boiling water. I want to make sure that the boiling water reaches all parts of the mix. And as I add the water, I just continue to mix the ingredients around. When I'm all done, I want to go ahead and tamp down the mix, and I'm using a spoon because I don't want to touch the mix with my hands. After that, I can put the cover on and let everything cool down before using the mix. When I squeeze the mix, I want to make sure that water is not dripping, because if it is, that means the mix is too wet. When I let go, the mix should hold its form. That's the perfect consistency for my seed starting mix to be added to my container pots. Next, let's go ahead and add the seed starting mix to our container. And then I want to press down lightly. And the reason we're doing that is so that we're eliminating any air pockets that might be in here. I've gone ahead and set up the tray as well as the seeds that we're going to sow together. Outside of this video, I'll be sowing the rest of my begonia seeds, but I wanted to show you my process for just sowing a handful of seeds. Since the seeds are tiny, what I'm planning to do is sow 3 different kinds of begonia seeds in one small tray. I've added little dividers, and the dividers are just plastic knives, and I've cut them so that they fit inside of my tray. I also created labels, and the labels just have some basic information on them. So for example, this wax begonia right here has a green leaf, and other information is it's a red colored flower. It's a taller variety of begonia. There's no special name because I collected the seeds myself, and we're sowing the seeds today, which is January 3rd. And then I put similar information over here. So the other seeds we're gonna sow are Stonehenge, and they are a rose bronze. And then these ones over here are a light pink colored flower. They are a taller variety, and they have a green leaf. I like to use a garden marker anytime I make plant labels. I find that a garden marker does not wear off if the plant labels get wet. If you use something like a Sharpie, then there's a higher likelihood that the label will wear off. Let's go ahead and place our labels. It may appear that there are not a lot of seeds in here, but I'm going to bring it in closer so you can look. Those little tiny specks that you see there that look like dust, each one of those is a seed. So what we're going to do is very carefully, we're going to sprinkle some seeds over here. I like to make sure that my hands are dry because I want to get as many seeds as I can. These are not your typical seed. I'm going to show you once I get some on my finger what they look like. Isn't that crazy? I would say, believe it or not, that's as many seeds as we're going to sow. So let's go ahead and do that. And it's funny because when you sow seeds, you might read about spacing seeds appropriately. Well, when they're this tiny, it's impossible to space your begonia seeds, especially when they're not pelleted. So I'm just liberally sprinkling these on this side here. And if some seeds jump over to the other side, it's okay, because you know what? Eventually they're going to bloom for me, and then I'll know what color they are. But I'm trying my best to keep the seeds just on one side here. Begonia seeds need light to germinate, so I'm going to go ahead and press down. I want to make sure that those little dust-like seeds are making good contact with the potting mix, or seed starting mix in this case. Speaking of which, I would not recommend potting mix when it comes to sowing your begonia seeds because they are so tiny. I definitely would recommend seed starting mix if you're going to grow begonias from seed. Potting mix has lots of big chunks in it, and they can get in the way of these teeny tiny seeds. The next step is we're going to add some fine vermiculite on top of the seeds that we just sowed. This is something I've never done in the past, and I've had success with my begonia seeds germinating, but I've found that many people have struggled with it. So this is why we're going to do this together. It's a very good thing to do with teeny tiny seeds that are surface sown. The vermiculite that you see here was put through a kitchen strainer, and I only am using very fine vermiculite because I want to make sure that the light can penetrate or come through this vermiculite. We're going to go ahead and sprinkle it on top, just a light layer of it. There are a couple of reasons why you want to use fine vermiculite. The first reason is it will allow light to come through. And that's important because, as I mentioned earlier, the seeds need light to germinate. But another great thing that this fine vermiculite does is it retains moisture. And that is also very important for any seed that you're surface sowing, such as begonia seeds. And the reason that I'm doing one section at a time is since these seeds are tiny and they stick to my fingers, I just want to accomplish or finish one area at a time, and then we'll move on to our next area. Let's go ahead, and we're once again just going to press down on our vermiculite as well as our seeds. I just want to make sure that those seeds still have good contact with the seed starting mix as well as the vermiculite. The next thing I'm actually going to do, and I recommend doing if you're going to multi-sow begonia seeds the way I'm doing it, is wash your hands and then dry them really well. Just because it's guaranteed that I have little specks of seeds that are stuck on here. Here are the next set of seeds that we're going to sow together. You'll notice I'm not just sprinkling them on top because I find that if I do that, I'm going to end up with a whole area full of seeds. I'd much rather just get them on my finger and then sprinkle them from there. I probably have way too many on my finger, but let's go ahead and sprinkle these on. If you have seeds that you bought and they're pelleted, you can definitely space those out a little bit because you can see the pellets and it's a lot easier to do it that way. And in this case, there's a very high likelihood we're going to end up with a ton of seeds, and that's okay because later on what I can do is separate them once they start germinating. If you only had one variety of begonias that you were sowing, you could just do them in one tray or one 6L pack. This method has worked for me for years because I like to sow so many different kinds of begonias from seed. We'll just put our bag here because I like to keep track of what I'm doing. Let's sprinkle on our fine vermiculite. And then we're going to press down. I'm not pressing down too hard, just enough to make sure that the seeds are pressed into place. And I'm going to wash my hands, dry them, and we'll work on the last set of seeds. So many seeds. We're going to sow that many seeds. Sprinkle them around the best that we can. Try to get off any of the little tiny seeds that I have, and it's guaranteed I have some under my fingernails. I'm zooming in just so you can see. If you see anything that looks like a reddish brown color, a small little tiny speck, yeah, those are the begonia seeds. They're very, very small. And I'm just putting the last amount of vermiculite on here. And we'll press down. I'm going to pick up these seed packets here because the next thing we're going to do is actually spray the top of the vermiculite and the seeds. I don't want to get my seed packets wet. I like to use a small hand pump water sprayer. It just gives a nice light mist, which is very important. Since these seeds are sown on the top, we don't want to give a very heavy mist of water. Our seed starting mix is already pre-moistened, but still it's important to add a nice layer of water at this point. And you don't want the stream to be too heavy, because if it's too heavy, the seeds are going to go everywhere. So nice and light. The next step is to cover this with something clear that allows light to come in but keeps the environment nice and humid. I'm going to be using this cover that came with my restaurant takeout container. And you'll see that it actually has little holes on the side, which is nice for basically as a little humidity dome. But if you don't have something like this, you can also use clear plastic wrap. You don't need to make holes in the top. The seedlings will be fine once they germinate. But you do want something that's clear that allows light to come in and makes this a nice, warm, humid environment, which is perfect for those seeds to want to germinate. Here we have a seedling heat mat where I already have some seeds on there. We're going to go ahead and we're going to add our tray of begonia seeds onto the seedling heat mat. Begonia seeds need a soil temperature somewhere between 70 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. My house is not that consistent in terms of temperature, so I do prefer to use a seedling heat mat so that those seeds get what they need to germinate successfully. As soon as I see about 50% germination rate, at that point it's very important for me to remove the humidity dome off of my tray. And also I want to remove the tray off of the seedling heat mat. If I leave the tray on the seedling heat mat for too long after germination occurs, the seedlings can become very leggy. And if I leave the humidity dome on for too long after the seedlings germinate, that also can cause all sorts of fungal issues. Once I have a very good germination rate with my seedlings, I'll also go ahead and put them under my LED shop lights. The shop lights are about 2 inches above the seedlings, and they're on 16 hours a day. They come on at 5 a.m., they go off at 9 p.m. I have them set up on a timer, so it's very automated. I'll also be sure to be bottom watering my seedlings. I don't want to water them from above because that can cause fungal issues. Once the seedlings have their first set of true leaves, at that point I'll begin fertilizing them with a diluted or half a strength of Miracle-Gro fertilizer. I like to keep track of all the seeds that I'm starting indoors. I have a Google spreadsheet where I have all this information logged. And each year I look at that Google spreadsheet, and if I find that I started some seeds a little too early or a little too late, I can always make the adjustments for future years. I have a whole playlist dedicated just for indoor seed starting. If you're interested in the playlist, I'll put a link to it down below. Be on the lookout for future videos when I show you my process for pricking out the seedlings, for potting them up, fertilizing them, hardening them off, and eventually getting them out in my landscape. And remember, only start seeds that you can use in your own garden. I'm going to be starting a whole bunch of seeds this year. I have a lot of space to fill in my yard. But when you watch my video as well as anyone else's videos, learn from those videos, but then apply what you've learned to your own space. Maybe you need to start more of a certain seed. Maybe you need to start less of a certain seed. Or perhaps you don't even like that flower, so why even start it? Let's face it, space is limited under our grow lights, so you want to be wise with how many plants and what kind of plants you're starting in your own space. Let me know in the comments below what your experience is with begonias. Do you buy them every year? Have you ever propagated them from cuttings? Do you overwinter them? Or have you ever started them from seed? I'd love to know. And until the next video, make it a great day with gardening.